Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, back from hiatus. I went on vacation. I went to New England to see the fall foliage. And then when I got back, I caught some kind of flu bug or something, and I've been kind of under the weather. Haven't done much, but I did appear on a couple other channels. I appeared on Rich Strickler's channel. We're doing our countdown of our favorite 50 songs from 1965, so there may be some copying when I get to my 1965, but who knows? I can change my mind and be different songs. Who knows? And so I'll put a link below to the video I did with Rich, and also on Brian Massey's channel. Same group of people. We're doing the best songs that have directions in the title. So that's up now too. So I'll put a link to that as well. So anyway, to get back to what I was doing, I'm going through each year. I started in 1950 and telling you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, and my favorite television show from each year. We're all the way up to 1964. So let's get started. My fourth runner-up for my favorite album of 1964. And that album is Ain't Nothing You Can Do, Bobby Blue Bland, on the MCA label. Bobby Bland released some classic albums in the 60s, elevated by his soulful blues croon. This album includes the delightful sauntering title track, the great ballad, If You Could Read My Mind, which that might be the song to check out, the focused weeper, Loneliness Hurts, and the otherworldly take on the soul classic Blind Man. I think maybe it was Little Milton that did it originally, but I prefer Bobby Blue Bland's version. But great album, Ain't Nothing You Can Do. My third runner-up for favorite album from 1964 is Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes. This is an RSD title. That's why I kind of kept the hype sticker there and the shrink wrap, which I don't usually do. Yeah, it was on the Motown label. It's the second Supremes album, and it's full of hits, including three number ones, the title track, Baby Love, and Come See About Me, and other fine tunes like A Breathtaking Guy, Run, 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 and When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes, if I can say that right. But most of these songs were written by the great team of Holland Dozier Holland, which was Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland. And Smokey Robinson also chips in on a couple of songs here. But yeah, great Motown album, The Supremes. My second runner-up is The Beatles for Sale. I only have it on CD. Of course, The Beatles. There's another picture of the guys there. Although filled with 6 covers, this album is lifted up by some great originals, some that seem to be coming from a dark place with a hint of world weariness, I would think. They look kind of tired on the cover. But they have songs like No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, and I'll Follow the Sun. And probably the most successful covers here were Chuck Berry's Rock and Roll Music and Buddy Holly's Words of Love. Great album by the Beatles. My first runner-up is from Bob Dylan, The Times They Are A-Changin', on the Columbia label. If I can get it out of here. There it is. There we go. But yeah, just a classic album. This is his first album of all originals, and he takes on several social issues, with The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll being one of the most hard-hitting, a tragic tale of overt racism. Other highlights include the title track, With God on Our Side, Boots of Spanish Leather, and Ballad of Hollis Brown. Fantastic album by Bob Dylan. And my favorite album, 1964, which I only have on CD, A Hard Day's Night, The Beatles. There the guys again. Set to appear in their first feature film, the Beatles were asked to write 6 new songs. Of course, they wrote more for the movie, and the album contains 13 songs, all Lennon and McCartney originals. And although George Harrison does not contribute to the songwriting, his guitar contributions, especially on A Hard Day's Night, influenced many other artists, It's full of great tunes, and I can't help think of the Beatles breaking through the exit door and Ringo exclaiming, "We're out," in the movie when I hear the song "Can't Buy Me Love." Just a classic album. Now for my favorite song of 1964, the fourth runner-up from Beatles for Sale. It's the song "No Reply." John Lennon was going to give it to another artist, but when the other artist didn't record it, the Beatles reclaimed it. Great tune concerning an unfaithful girlfriend who wasn't responding to his efforts to contact her, even though he knew she was at home. Just a great tune. And my third runner-up, also from the Beatles, "From a Hard Day's Night." And it's a song I referenced to before. Can't Buy Me Love. Love it in the Hard Day's Night movie. It's a rollicking song that emphasizes that money and fame won't necessarily buy you the most important things. It was also a song they loved to play live, and you can see why. Can't Buy Me Love. My second runner-up, from the great Jerry Butler. This is a compilation album called Up on Love that was put out by Charlie. See the label there. But, and whoever thought it was a good idea to put the song titles in dark green on black? I don't know. But I don't know if you can see it there, but it's "I Stand Accused." Songs written by Jerry Butler and his brother Billy, who was also a very good singer. Billy Butler, if you want to check out some of his music too. But I've always loved Jerry's expressive voice, and this is a good song to check out where you can really hear it. "I Stand Accused," Jerry Butler. And by the way, I will put links below to all the songs I pick and a song off of each of the albums that I picked as well. So if you want to check those out. And the first runner-up from the Righteous Brothers. This is their greatest hits album, and "You've Lost That Love and Feeling." A great Phil Spector wall of sound production with two of the most distinctive voices in music, Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield. Brian Wilson called it maybe the greatest record I ever heard, and it's probably the most reacted to record on YouTube. Any of these reaction channels, I bet you every single one have reacted to this song. This greatest hits was on Verve. And that's my first runner-up. And my favorite song from 1964 is from Sam Cooke. This is a nice collection called The Portrait of a Legend, 1951 to 1964. And it's the song, "A Change Is Gonna Come." This somber tune, sung with some gospel-influenced expressiveness by Sam Cooke, explores the state of race in America and is just as effective today as it was then. I love the lush orchestration and the pleading in Sam Cooke's voice. It never fails to get its point across, at least to me. It's probably maybe the most impactful song I've ever heard. Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come." And one thing I forgot to mention when I started out is, I gotta get back on the horse, get used to doing my videos here, but I have to have a physical copy in order to pick it. And with the television series, they are only eligible their debut season. Otherwise, it get too complicated because some of them went, 6, 8, 10 seasons. So only on their debut season are they eligible. And like I said, have to have a physical copy. So anyway, let's get to 1964. The favorite movie, and my fourth runner-up is Father Goose with Cary Grant and Leslie Caron. Charming comedy. Grant plays a beachcomber on an isolated South Seas island, forced to be a lookout for the Allies during World War II. And he's suddenly saddled with a stranded teacher and her young girl pupils. Grant is delightful as the hard-drinking bachelor forced to curb some of his normal pursuits by the teacher, Leslie Caron, who is at odds. And of course, it leads to a romance. And that's actually his last romantic lead. He only made one more movie because he thought he was too old to be in the romantic lead anymore. And in fact, I think he was 27 years older than Leslie Caron in this movie. Leslie Caron Cary Grant, but he's charming as ever. My third runner-up for 1964's favorite film is the movie Marnie. Alfred Hitchcock is in this Alfred Hitchcock set, this Blu-ray set. Also came with this nice book. But yeah, Marnie, while really not top Hitchcock, it has some great psychological elements, and Sean Connery is great as in his understanding role of trying to help the troubled Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren really shines with her portrayal of this complicated character, and probably her best performance. Yeah, Marnie, my third runner-up. My second runner-up is A Hard Day's Night, directed by Richard Lester. This movie chronicles the 2 days in the life of the Beatles, 2 days before a live TV performance, with plenty of hijinks and plenty of Beatles music. Director Richard Lester did not want to do a traditional musical, and the Beatles were very in tune with his ideas. It would be hard to find another movie that better expresses the joy of music than this one. This is our Criterion Collection, spine number 711. And it's got a nice book in here. If I can show it here. Plenty of pictures. Yeah, and it's actually a 3-disc set. So there's plenty of extras on here. Just a great collection put out by Criterion. And my first runner-up is Goldfinger, directed by Guy Hamilton. Came in this James Bond collection. There are 4 volumes. It's all the movies up until Daniel Craig took over. But they were all great, and they each had a little booklet for each movie. There were like 5 movies, I think, in each set. And each movie had 2 discs with a bunch of special features on them. Just a great collection. And Goldfinger, this movie really set the template for what a Bond film would entail. It has perhaps the best villain and henchman in Goldfinger and Odd Job. A great theme song sung by Shirley Bassey. A great film score by John Barry. Some great Bond girls with Honor Blackman and Shirley Eaton. And Sean Connery establishing himself as the quintessential James Bond. For my favorite movie of 1964, I also actually have 2 movies. Because they both had very similar topics, and that is Failsafe, directed by Sidney Lumet, and Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, directed by Stanley Kubrick. 2 movies that came out in 1964 that looked at nuclear proliferation and the inevitability of mistakes being made during the Cold War tensions. Dr. Strangelove is a dark satire, whereas Failsafe takes a serious look at the subject with a chilling climax. The problem is, the Dr. Strangelove came out first, which made some of the scenes in Failsafe seem unintentionally funny if you had seen the other movie. But both are truly wonderful films. George C. Scott here and Peter Sellers, who actually took on 3 roles there, kind of anchor this film. And then you've got Henry Fonda playing the president, and Walter Matthau as a war-hawking professor shine in Failsafe. Just 2 great movies on similar subjects. Well, and that's my favorite film of 1964. 3 series that didn't quite make it for me for my favorite television series for 1964 were My Living Doll with the great Julie Newmar. Could have been fantastic if it wasn't for the casting of Bob Cummings. It didn't really work with him. But she was great. And it was a little silly, but we do have Tina Louise and Don Adams in Gilligan's Island. And The Munsters. Nice series, but there's another series very similar that we'll get to later. Now for my favorite television series of 1964, the 4th runner-up is Bewitched. An enjoyable comedy series with a ton of character actors playing various witches and warlocks, often related to the beautiful Elizabeth Montgomery, Witch herself, married to ad executive Darren Stevens. Originally portrayed by Dick York, who left the show because of back problems, and then replaced by Dick Sargent. Yeah, this is season 6, so Dick Sargent is the one here. Of course, then the great Agnes Moorehead plays her mother. But what was really weird is when they replaced them, they both had kind of similar looks. Whenever I see a bedpan at a museum, I always think of the warlock that got turned into a bedpan on this series. But yeah, great series, Bewitched. My third runner-up is the series Daniel Boone. This is the entire series. The series has a special place for me as I had a Daniel Boone lunchbox as a kid. In fact, I still have it. Wonder what I could get for it on eBay. It doesn't have the thermos though. But anyway, Fess Parker, there he is, who had originally portrayed Davy Crockett on The Wonderful World of Disney, here portrays Daniel Boone. It's a Frontier series with Ed Ames of the famous Ames Brothers Singers vocal group as Mingo, his Cherokee friend. It had great scenery, and it was shot in California and Utah and just looked fantabulous. My second runner-up was Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. This was a unique submarine series as it had a science fiction slant. The submarine, the Seaview, was a privately owned nuclear submarine that explored the ocean's mysteries, often encountering monsters and mayhem. It starred Richard Basehart and David Hedison. Just a cool series. Irwin Allen produced it. And my first runner-up is The Addams Family, a situation comedy about the strange adventures of a macabre family unit. This series entertained kids and adults alike, as some of the humor probably went over the young viewers' heads. John Astin and Carolyn Jones were a great sexy couple that kept the series entertaining. And it was a little more sophisticated than the Munsters, which is probably why I liked it more. And my favorite television show of 1964, it's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. This is a neat set, came in like this briefcase-like thing. But you can open it. There's the series there. U.N.C.L.E. was the United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. That's what it stood for. The series spotlights 2 top agents in Napoleon Solo, played by Robert Vaughn, and Ilya Kuryakin, played by David McCallum, primarily fighting the evil organization Thrush. There were always clever devices and beautiful women populating each episode, which always kept it entertaining. There's Leo G. Carroll, who played their boss. You might recognize him from North by Northwest, which is another movie he was in, or another thing he was in. But anyway, that's what I have for this week. My 1964 countdown. Look for me in 1965. Where I pick my favorites as well. So please put your favorites down below too. I like to read in the comments to see some of the things that maybe I forgot that I need to watch, or some of your favorites too. So anyway, thanks for watching, and everyone take care.